Right folks, today it's time to take a look at not one, but two signature guitars that just happen to be pretty heavy indeed. Let's get into it. Right, ladies and gents, welcome to today's video. Now, it's a little known secret that here on the channel, we're all pretty big metal fans. We don't often get the opportunity to express it, however. Most of the stuff you see from us does not typically fit this bill, but with the addition, or I should say with the arrival of the brand new Gibson Dave Mustaine models, we kind of wanted to take a closer look at some of the other signature gear as well that we have here that just really kind of pushes you in that direction. And when you do pick these bits up, you're really inclined, obviously, to play in that particular style. Whether it's your favorite thing to do or not, I really like that you get these instruments that just inspire you to do one thing and do one thing as best as you possibly can. Not to say that they're not versatile instruments in and of themselves, but you know what the ethos, you know what the ideals behind their designs were, and you really feel kind of connected to that style, whether or not it's the thing that you're most proficient at, like I say. So, I wanted to kind of focus this largely around the brand new Gibson Dave Mustaine V, which as a massive Dave Mustaine and Megadeth fan myself, I was very, very excited to finally get hands-on with. And when I did, and I plugged it into the phenomenal new EVH 5150 Iconic Series amp, which you may have seen recently on the channel. If you haven't, you can click the card up here in the corner and check that video out that I did with Greg as well. That was just literally a match made in metal heaven, for me anyway, because it just brought out everything I wanted that guitar to do. The amp was right there for me, whether it be some really nice shimmery chorused cleans, or of course, the incredibly aggressive, really, really punchy high gain metal tone that that amp and the namesake players of each of these two signature guitars are best known for. Okay folks, so the first guitar we're going to take a closer look at today is this, the brand new Gibson Dave Mustaine Flying V EXP model in this gorgeous silver finish. Now, on the surface, it's quite a simple guitar, and I'm really, really happy that Mr. Mustaine decided to return to this kind of aesthetic for his signature gear, because we've seen some questionable designs in the past from some other manufacturers that he's put his name to, I think it's fair to say. But they've just gone completely clean, completely classy and simple here. There's also an antique natural finish available that we'll be seeing soon as well. But this one, to me, is just everything that Dave Mustaine is about, summed up in one instrument. It's extremely comfortable as well. The neck profile of this thing is basically like if you've ever played a Gibson V or an Explorer in the past. I think you're going to feel at home here. It's quite flat, it's quite chunky at the same time, but it's very, very comfortable, and it's got this gorgeous gloss finish with the nice binding around the neck. 24 frets, of course, and you've got these brand new designed Seymour Duncan Thrash Factor signature pickups, which they say are supposed to be modelled idealistically on the JBs that Dave Mustaine was using back in kind of the band's heyday, I'd say, in the early 90s, and it definitely evokes that sound. I've tuned this guitar down half a step to E flat, and I think it really puts across that classic Duncan pickup identity, where it's got a nice fat sort of bubbly mid-range, but it's not super tight and aggressive and not quite as articulate as modern ceramic-based pickups are. But I personally think that's a good thing. If you're going for that kind of style where it's not all about the attack and you want a little bit of character and bubble to the notes, I think it works really well in this guitar. And it means that you can use this not just for your thrash needs. You can get some really nice cleans, you can get some really nice sort of semi-broken tones out of this. These pickups are quite hot, but they're not face-meltingly so. You can actually get some really usable lower gain sounds out of them. I also love the headstock design. He's always been a 6 in a row kind of guy, regardless of whatever signature guitar he's played. And I think it obviously completes the look of a Gibson. It's got that kind of Explorer style headstock up that end and the proper meat and potatoes V design down the body end. Ergonomically, I think this works better than many other Vs I've played in the past as well. It's extremely lightweight, despite being mahogany wood body. Really nice light guitar. The controls are exactly where you want them to be. You've got a bridge volume, a neck volume, and a global tone down there, as well as a three-way. You've got the Tune-o-matic style bridge, which may be a slightly contentious addition for anyone who's a true V enthusiast and thinks you only should have the V tailpiece down there, but I actually think the Tune-o-matic works really well. It's just a really classy guitar, and often you find that guitars in this kind of field, they have a certain aesthetic to them which could be instantly polarizing. If you don't like that band, if you don't like that artist, if you don't like that look, you're never going to consider a guitar like that. Whereas what Gibson have done very cleverly here, I think, is they've appealed to the true metal fans by getting such a legendary artist on board with them, but at the same time they've created a series of instruments that really do appeal to anybody. You could legitimately play pretty much any style of music on this guitar and you wouldn't feel too outlandish in doing so. So, like I said, most of the tones you're going to hear are played, of course, on channel 2 of the 5150. I think the tone just absolutely nails that Mustaine kind of vibe, especially if you're looking back to the kind of early to mid-90s period of the band, which I think is a lot of people's favourites. It's just such a fantastic guitar tone, really, really articulate, but like I said, it's got that nice little bit of juicy bubbleness to it. I don't think that's a legitimate term, but I'm going to go with that for this guitar. It's got a nice bubblish kind of quality to it, where it's fat, juicy, but still articulate at the same time. I really like it, and hopefully you do too. Now, I say this video is largely going to be focused around the Dave Mustaine Gibson, but we also wanted to throw into the mix maybe a slightly lesser known band, who knows, maybe not a band you'll have heard of, but the great James Hetfield from Metallica as well. Also has the fantastic LTD Snakebite Edition signature guitar, which is pretty much half the cost. So we're going to find out, is it half the guitar if you just want to get your chug on. Let's get into some sound clips. Chug. Right folks, now we thought it might be quite fun to throw in a second option to consider here. Now this isn't going to be a black and white issue, just like the bands that they represent either. Neither one is better than the other, though I'm sure you've got a favourite, and if you do, let me know in the comments below. But when it comes to these guitars anyway, on paper they're quite similar, but in practice they feel and respond very, very differently. Now that kind of marries up to the playing styles of the people who put their name to these instruments as well. Hetfield is a much more, I would say, aggressive rhythm player than Mustaine is, and he's kind of designed a guitar here that works to complement that. So you've got the signature EMG headset active pickups in this guitar, which active pickups are not going to be for everybody, but for this kind of sound, when you want that totally precise, kind of highly articulate, very, very detailed and aggressive sound, EMG are just the best at doing that. That's kind of a well-established fact by this point. Now, being that an LTD, it's at a much more accessible price point than not only the Gibson, but also many other ESP products that you may be familiar with. So, despite the fact that this is a very high-quality signature guitar, the price tag does not necessarily reference that, does not necessarily represent that. So, check out the website when you're done with this video, which will be up in the corner here, peachguitars.com, or indeed you can click the links in the description below to find out more about this LTD, or if you want to find out more about that Gibson as well. Now, kind of the point of this video is to compare and contrast them a little bit. I will say that obviously there is a noticeable difference between the design aesthetics of these guitars, which in turn plays into how they feel different. So this is a completely satinized neck, which isn't going to be for everybody. I personally prefer the glossy feel of the Gibson. That just appeals to me a little bit more, but this definitely has more of that sleek, kind of super fast feel to it, I guess you could say. It works great for rhythm. It's a little bit of a slimmer neck, but you've got the very comfortable back of the headstock heel up here. So when you do hit that, you know, the Metallica region, way down there by the first and second frets, it's nice and comfortable, your hand feels supported. And then when you do get up to the higher end as well, you've only got 22 frets on this guitar, but I'm sure you can still work plenty of magic with those frets available. Nice and slick with just a volume for each pickup down here, the same kind of style Tune-o-matic lockdown bridge. It's a good deal heavier, this guitar. And of course it's a totally different body style as well. You've got more of the Explorer style thing going on here with the snake bite. It's a little bit more, well, I wouldn't say it's unwieldy, but you have to wield it in a different way than you do a V or indeed any other guitar. There's a learning curve to sitting and playing with one of these things, just like there is with a V. So if you've never played one before, you know, you will adapt quickly, but if you are familiar with these styles of instruments, then I've got to say, within the signature kind of bracket of gear, the designs are dead on both of them. They're not too in your face, not too obnoxious, not too specific, and they're just great examples of what each of these phenomenal body styles that debuted way back in the late 50s can do when they've been modernized and tweaked and appropriated for an artist's needs. Now, tonally, like I said, these EMGs have a lot more articulation to them. I kept this guitar in standard tuning, and utilizing the noise gate on the amp, I think you really get the picture of just how precise and articulate and aggressive this thing can sound. But it's also got that nice bubble to the neck pickup as well. The headset is a really nice sounding set of active EMG pickups. It works very well. I didn't really explore too many clean tones or any sort of semi-dirty tones with it. It's not really what the MO of this guitar is, and I'm sure anyone looking to consider buying this guitar is not going to buy it for that purpose. But I'm sure you could make it do that kind of thing if you wanted, but this is just all about all-out aggression, all-out riffage, and it's a nice companion to that Gibson at the same time. Alright folks, I hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen and heard in this video. Are you more of Team Mustaine or are you more Team Hetfield in this particular case? Granted, they're both very different instruments at very different price points, but that's kind of the joy of guitars in general. You know, you can definitely find something that works for you totally regardless of your budget. So if you do want to splash out and get a phenomenal brand new Gibson guitar, they've really got you covered here now. Though obviously they've been very well known for covering the more classic and vintage end of the gear spectrum, but now they're really working hard to forge new paths into the future with more contemporary artists and showing the metal players a little bit of love, which I think is long overdue, and it just shows that when they put their minds to it, they can really craft something that works well to incorporate their heritage and also well to meet the needs of modern guitar players. And the LTD is something that we're very proud here at peachguitars.com to be covering in a much more wider kind of a basis as well. You can get everything from the very affordable, less expensive LTD models all the way up to the beautiful E2s and ESP custom shop guitars, and that Snakebite is a great example of just what going bang in the middle of the road kind of a price point, but way above in terms of the quality. You really get a lot of bang for the buck out of that kind of guitar. And I would like to know your thoughts. Do you think that Gibson is worth twice as much as that LTD? Let me know in the comments below. So thank you very much, as always, for watching. If you want more info on either of these guitars, or indeed all the other Gibson and all the other LTD products that we stock, click the card up in the corner here, or click the link in the description below to head to peachguitars.com, and everything that you could possibly want to know will be there waiting for you. So thanks for watching, take care, I'll see you very soon.